是罗秀文，我是立顺的巨选区的候选人。谢谢。Good evening, voters of Marine Parade GRC, McPherson SMC, my fellow Singaporeans and friends. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. By voting for the Workers' Party in the last elections, you sent a signal to the PAP government that we need a strong opposition party in Parliament. We are here again this general elections to continue serving you and Singapore. Salam sejahtera para penduduk Marine Parade dan McPherson. Para penyokong Parti Pekerja, rakyat tanah air tercinta ini, dan kawan-kawan sekalian. Ribuan terima kasih kerana meluangkan masa untuk bersama kami pada malam ini. Kehadiran tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian amat bererti buat kami kerana tanpa para hadirin sekalian, maka tiadalah Parti Pekerja. Saya Cheryl Loh bersama teman-teman sepasukan saya akan bertanding untuk GRC Nisun dalam pilihan raya kali ini. Saya berasa bertuah kerana berpeluang menjadi sebahagian daripada Parti Pekerja. Malah, saya sungguh berbesar hati kerana dapat berucap pada malam ini dan diberikan peluang perkhidmat kepada tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian. Terima kasih. Terima kasih. In 2011, which I agree completely. So don't say the opposition always opposes whatever the government says. And I quote, he said, "Let's not be politicians worrying about votes. Let's be political leaders worrying about the future of Singapore." Now, that is exactly it. The Workers' Party is concerned about the future of Singapore for Singaporeans, and we want to ensure of its sustainable progress in the years ahead. So tonight, I would like to talk about the importance of education. Because to have a sustainable Singapore future, we will have to have a solid foundation. And I strongly believe that the start point would be from having a good education. I was raised by my relatives. My relatives are very hardworking people. They are ordinary Singaporeans like you and like me. They work hard to provide a living for themselves and their families. They are not people given to complaining. Yet, while growing up, I frequently hear them lamenting about how hard it is to get by and that everything is so expensive in Singapore. As I began to help out with the Workers' Party at the Meet the People sessions or house visits, I came into contact with more of such people struggling to make ends meet. And I began to see how this perpetuates the poverty cycle in some families. All of us have dreams and aspirations. And education is the bedrock in giving young Singaporeans the ability to pursue those dreams. This is why education is often said to be the great leveler. Sadly, this is not the case in Singapore today. We are often told that every school is a good school. If this is true, why do some parents resort to buying a house close to certain schools then? There is a difference, and we all know that. Recently, a school principal talked about his concern the school he was in charge of was becoming too elitist. The perception on the ground is that the elite schools have more resources and programs for their students. These schools usually charge higher fees, enjoy a greater economy of scale, and can tap on wealthy alumni. As a result, these schools are able to offer a better learning environment, provide more varied sports and enrichment programs, thus producing more well-rounded students. To name a few differences, Some of these schools have campuses a few times the size of the average neighborhood school. Some have air-conditioned classrooms. They can have yearly learning trips to far-flung countries, such as Europe or the US. They have direct schools admissions to attract top sporting talents, where they dominate national competitions. Is this considered a consistency of treatment for all schools? To help narrow this quality gap in schools, the Workers' Party proposes that we should close the gap in disposable adequately funded to become good schools. Due to the quality gap in schools, competition for Primary 1 places at what are perceived to be good schools are getting more intense. Balloting for places are now required at earlier phases every year. The competition doesn't end with getting into a school. The current education system is built around high-stakes examinations, such as the PSLE. So many students end up going for extra tuition just to keep up, and for some, to stay ahead. High-stakes examinations does not just take an emotional toll on students, but also has a financial impact on families. The household expenditure survey in November last year found that families spend 1.1 billion a year on tuition. This is almost double the 650 million spent 10 years ago. The survey noted even students in the gifted program that Singapore's education system is run on the basis that tuition is not necessary. She further stated that there was no concern that students from low-income families might be unable to afford tuition, and there were no issues with social mobility as long as the students could still pass examinations without tuition. But as long as the competition for places are based on relative performance, weaker students from less privileged background will lose out, even if they somehow manage to pass the exams on their own effort. Ms. Indrani Raja also said in 2013 that the Ministry of Education will look into studying the impact of private tuition. We have not seen the study. Mr. Peng En Huat reiterated the call for a nationwide study on the tuition culture to be done in March this year. In the face of growing demand for tuition, is this a level playing field for students who do not have the financial means or the family support? Who can these students turn to if they do not have parents who are educated who can help them with their schoolwork? While self-help groups such as the CDAC, Mendaki, or CINDA do provide free tuition for children from low-income families, there are only that many students that they can take for tuition. There are still many other students from the underprivileged backgrounds who may fall through the cracks. To address this problem, the Workers' Party proposes that these self-help groups pool all their resources together and be housed under multicultural help centers in each town. This will facilitate more effective efforts to provide help and educational support to all underprivileged children in the town, regardless of race. So let's work together to narrow the school inequality gap and safeguard that our children receive the best education we can offer them. Let's leave no children behind, as every child is precious to Singapore. We believe that progress for Singapore will come from constructive debate and a diversity of views. We believe that nobody has all the answers, and certainly there is no magic formula. We believe that when we are politically balanced in Parliament, only then can we be assured that the voices of everyday Singaporeans are heard. Together, let's create a sustainable Singapore. Vote for the Workers' Party. Empower your future. Thank you. Thank you very much.